Dr. Rajesh Verma, Coordinator and Convener, 106th Science Communicators Meet, Dr. Haribabu, Co-Convener, distinguished scientists, fellow science communicators, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. I offer my respectful pronouns to this august gathering. Good afternoon to one and all. The topic of my presentation today is how to communicate science effectively. Science and technology are deeply embedded in every aspect of human life today. Increasingly, people depend on scientific information to make informed decisions related to food and nutrition, food safety and food poisoning, health, hygiene and medical care, climate change, environmental issues, agriculture, and allied fields. By communicating scientific ideas and discoveries to a wider public, we can generate informed debate, influence culture and societal thinking, inspire future researchers. Most importantly, effective science communication bridges the gap between the scientific community and society at large. The foremost requirement is a strong command over the language of communication. Active voice is more effective than passive voice. Short, clear sentences communicated better than long, complex ones. Equally important is a deep command over the subject matter. Extensive reading and thorough understanding are essential. This builds confidence. When we truly appreciate the beauty of a topic, creativity naturally reflects in our presentation style. The mother tongue is always more comfortable than a foreign language. However, it is certainly possible and highly rewarding to develop proficiency in other languages as well. Many science fiction and non fiction writers have successfully communicated science both in their mother tongue and in additional languages. My mother tongue is Telugu and I predominantly write and present in Telugu, contributing to Telugu magazines and e-magazines. At the same time, I also communicate in English, contributing to magazines such as Science Reporter, Dream 2047, and Science India. There must be a genuine inner urge to communicate science. As the saying goes, you cannot make a silk purse out of a pig's ear. One must cultivate an appetite for communication and practice it consistently. The same scientific topic must be presented differently to different audiences. Presentation techniques should be adopted according to the audience's background, expectations, and level of understanding. Appropriate and relevant humor also helps the audience engaged and receptive. Power of interaction and storytelling. Interactive lectures are received with great enthusiasm. Here, for example, you can see rural girl students enjoying an interactive session using the periodic table model that I developed. Science, after all, is an ongoing detective story, full of surprises, misdirections, and unexpected outcomes. We can create narratives and maintain scientific integrity while sustaining curiosity. A good presentation should begin with a familiar concepts, gradually move toward complex ideas, establish a human connection, pose a guiding question that drives the narrative. The introduction itself should capture audience interest and sustain it until the end. For example, in my popular lecture on abrasives, I began with the familiar example of manja used in kite fighting. Manja is a thread coated with fine abrasive paste with glass particles, which makes it sharp enough to cut other kite strings. This everyday example helped me introduce the scientific concept of abrasives in a simple and engaging way. Technical terminology should be used only for precise communication within a specific scientific community. Using highly technical language with non-technical audiences not only fails to deliver the message but also it actively pushes listeners and readers away. The use of metaphors, proverbs, idioms, quotations, and anecdotes related to the topic, the discovery, or the scientist, etc., greatly enhances audience interest. For instance, sheets of mica are held together by weak van der Waals forces and can be peeled easily, much like the layers of paper in a post-it note. Conrad's metaphorical thinking played a key role in discovering the equivalence between heat and work. However, metaphors must be used carefully. They may misfire due to ambiguity and oversimplification. To be effective, metaphors must encompass all the core elements. For example, the electrical current is like the flow rate of water. Voltage is the pressure pushing that water through a pipe, and the resistance is the width of the pipe. Use of cultural idioms and quotations. In Telugu, the idiom Nalleru Meeda Bandi Nadaka conveys a smooth progress, similar to English idiom a cakewalk. Likewise, once in a blue moon corresponds to, in Telugu, Janmaniko Shivaratri. Quotations also add depth and authority. For example, experiment is a question that science poses to nature, and measurement is nature's answer. Personification can be highly effective. I often begin my lecture on Mercury with my own Telugu poem before gradually moving into the complex chemistry of Mercury. I recite a few stanzas from the poem. నేనొక లోహాన్ని గది ఉష్ణోగ్రత దగ్గర నేనొకే ఒక ద్రవలోహాన్ని నేనెంత బరువైన దానినో తెలుసా వస్తాదులెత్తే ఉక్కు బరువులు నాకు మల్లెపువ్వుల ఎత్తులు శివరేతస్సు అన్నారు నన్ను గట్టి పడ్డానంటే కఠినత్వానికి మారుపేరే నేను ఆవిరయ్యానంటే బతికి బట్ట కట్టగలరా మీరు వెండి నీరు అన్నారు నన్ను కరిగిన వెండిని అనుకున్నారా కాదు కాదు కాళ్ళు లేవు నాకు కానీ పరుగు పెడతాను నన్ను పట్టుకోగలరేమో చూడండి నా పేరేమిటో చెప్పుకోండి టైటిల్స్ too should be engaging. Here are some of my other curiosity driven titles: Counterattack on Microbes, Enchanting Pigments, Ice cream is screaming out for our attention, When oxygen is an enemy, Mouth-watering aromas, Can we mix oil and water? In Telugu, some of my titles are like this: సూక్ష్మ జీవుల దాడికి ప్రతిదాడి, నయనానందకర వర్ణనాలు, ఏ ఐస్ క్రీం తిందాం, ఆక్సిజన్ మనకి హాని కూడా చేస్తుందా, నీరంటే పడదు నూనంటే గిట్టదు, నోరూరించే సువాసనలు. Poems and literary excerpts, when used contextually, can significantly enrich science communication. Translations between English and mother tongue can also be very effective. I frequently quote from Sumati and Vemana Satakams and Bhartuhari's Subhashitalu also, linking them meaningfully to the scientific concepts. While introducing the topic ఇసుక కోటలు దొంగ ఇసుక గుంటలు, I quoted this poem from Telugu. తివిరి ఇసుమున తైలంబు తీయవచ్చు, తవిలి మొగతృష్ణలో నీరు త్రాగవచ్చు, తిరిగి కుందేటి కొమ్ము సాధించవచ్చు, చేరి మూర్ఖుల మనసు రంజింపలేము. The same article in English titled Sand Castles and Quicksand, I translated this poem into English like this: Oil can be extracted from sand, might get water in a mirage, possible to grow horns for a rabbit, impossible to put sense in an adamant mind. Modes of scientific communication. Science can be communicated through multiple effective channels. These include publications in magazines and e-magazines that reach a broad readership. Popular lectures help translate complex ideas into simple, engaging messages for the public. Popular science book publications. These are some of the selected book titles that compile my articles published in various magazines, along with my radio talks and public lectures. Audio programs broadcast through all India radio stations extend scientific outreach to diverse audiences. Innovative teaching tools and working models make learning interactive and experimental. To teach the periodic table innovatively, I developed an interactive board model. So far, I have conducted 12 such interactive sessions in schools, colleges, teacher training workshops. Museum exhibits play an important role by visually demonstrating scientific principles. Lecture demonstrations and interactive engagements further strengthen understanding through live experiments. In addition, online platforms such as YouTube enable wide interactive and on demand dissemination of scientific knowledge. In conclusion, science can be communicated through multiple modes: lectures, writing, storytelling, models, metaphors, and interactive engagements. Effective science communication demands clarity of thought, creativity in expression, empathy for the audience, deep respect for both science and society. When science is communicated with sincerity and sensitivity, it not only informs but also inspires. Effective communication strengthens the science society bond. Thank you for your attention.